Let's talk about another type of fault. And as a reminder, faults are brittle crustal deformation. Things get broken as opposed to bent. Let's talk about the type of faults that have mostly horizontal offset along them. We call these types of faults strike-slip faults. And of course, a famous example is the San Andreas Fault in California. The way that we describe the movement on these faults is no longer by hanging wall or footwall, but we describe the movement as either right lateral or left lateral. And I'll show you what that means in the coming slides. So this would be an example of a strike-slip fault. There's motion in both directions, different opposite directions on either side of the fault, and the two sides of the fault are being pulled or pushed in opposite directions here. These strike-slip faults often happen along transform tectonic boundaries where two lithospheric plates are sliding past each other, and they're really tied into the tectonic forces. Once these things start, they just continue into the foreseeable future. The way that we describe these faults is if we're standing on one side of the fault. So for example, this road here used to be continuous. A strike-slip fault has offset this road. And the way that we would do it is if we were standing on this road and looking across, we would say, oh, the road on the other side of the fault has shifted off to the right. So we would call that a right lateral strike-slip fault. And if you can picture in your mind, if you were standing on this side of the fault on the road here and looking across, you would still say, oh, the road has been shifted off to the right. So it doesn't matter what side you're looking from, the relative sense of motion should be the same for those. A left lateral strike-slip fault is just the opposite. If you were standing here looking across, you would say the road is shifted off to the left. Same here, looking across, the road is shifted off to the left. So all strike-slip faults are either right lateral strike-slip faults or left lateral strike-slip faults. And looking back at this example from the 1906 earthquake, Great San Francisco earthquake, this fence line here used to be continuous, but it was offset by that event in 1906. And we can see here that the San Andreas Fault is a right lateral strike-slip fault. So if we were standing touching the fence here and looking across, we would say the fence has been offset to the right. And of course that will just continue on indefinitely because the tectonic forces causing the San Andreas Fault to move are always the same. So over time, if this fence is still around, it's just gonna, that offset is just gonna become greater and greater, and always as a right lateral strike-slip fault.